Sorry for the harsh break there. So, continuing on from resentment. You see resentment in a lot of places, and you see resentment cause a lot of damage. To think about it in really simple terms, resentment is a lot like jealousy. And Shakespeare, I can't remember exactly how he described it, but basically jealousy grows inside of you and then just keeps getting stronger and kind of consumes you. And that's what resentment will do, except instead of just consuming you, it will lead you to take malicious actions towards the target of your resentment. Now what does that look like when it plays out? Well, the short answer is, let's say you're a sub, okay? Or really a little, even more specifically. And maybe it bothers your dom. Maybe you like pull-ups or diapers. And maybe it bothers your dom that you're into that, right? And so, every time you need to be changed or taken to the potty, your dom resents you for it. You say, "Daddy, I gotta go potty," and you just, you look at them and they're just like, "All right, I'm coming." And if your dom can't let go of that feeling that, why are you still bothering me with this, and move beyond it every time, or at least most times, then what you're going to see is this gradual build up of resentment, and then that is going to explode out in a bigger argument, or them really acting maliciously towards you in other ways, and it's going to come out somewhere. And so, tying this back into Meek, enduring injury with patience and without resentment. Your dom must be enduring. Your dom must be patient. And your dom must be able to be enduring and patient without resentment. Because make no mistake, if you're a daddy dom and you deal with littles, like you have a little, they can be so frustrating and annoying. I mean, like, there are days where you come home from work and it's like, really? You did that again? Like, you Sharpied on the bed again? And a dom needs that endurance. Dom needs to be able to hold up to that every day, and if not every day, most days, most of the time. They need to be patient enough to be willing to not only tolerate your excesses, but to be able to respond to you in a consistent, appropriate manner. And there's nothing worse than a dom who loses Dom loses his patience and then explodes. And all of a sudden, the sub or the little is standing there and is like, well, I know what the rules are. I know what the limits are. What does this mean? And so by being enduring and patient without resentment, you're basically laying the foundation for stability on your little relationship boat. Those anger explosions, like, man overboard, right? And that sucks. And if you've been in any relationship, you've been there at least once and it was awful. It's awful. But this isn't a vanilla relationship, so the power dynamic is going to tend to favor the dom. And just like that king we were talking about earlier, your dom needs to have the ability to exercise his power, not for the good of a kingdom, but for the good of himself, the good of the sub, but not just for the good of himself and for the good of the sub, but also for the good of the relationship. Because remember, a relationship is two people. You've got your dom and your sub, and they come together to form a relationship, and that is a third entity. There's dom, there's sub, relationship, right? And if you have a dom who is good for himself, well, then the sub isn't being taken care of, and the relationship isn't being taken care of. If you have a dom who's good for the sub, well, now you have a dom who can't take care of himself and can't take care of the relationship. And it's a little better to have a dom who can take care of himself and can take care of the sub. But if he's taking care of himself and the sub, well, the relationship, I mean, if you, the dom, and the sub aren't synced up, well, the relationship's going to be spinning in a circle. Well, good luck getting anywhere, right? So you need a dom who can take care of himself, keep himself together, under control, discipline. A dom who can keep the little under control and discipline. And taking those two things, keep them synced up so that the wheels are all spinning at the same rate, and keep the relationship moving in a positive, not just moving in a direction, but moving in a positive direction. Alright, now we've got Meek out of the way. And you're sitting there like, bro, I get it. Meek is good, right? Okay, Meek is awesome. Check mark next to Meek. How do I find Meek? How do I identify this trait? Well, there's only one answer, and that is time. So now we know Meek is important, but just because, you meet someone for the first time, and you see this a lot in chats, they know each other for 2 days, and then all of a sudden, look guys, here's my new daddy. Look guys, here's my new little, ha 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 ha, we're so happy. And then like a week later, they're broken up, right? Well, the fact of the matter is, there's a reason that for literally thousands of years, courtship was a process, not a 2-day process, usually a months or years long process. If you go back into the ancient times, there's a word betrothal, and we tend to equate it with engagement, but it's really not the same thing at all. Betrothal was two families coming to an agreement that a child from each family, boy and girl, would later in life, once they reached adulthood, would marry. Well, what's different about that in an engagement, besides the fact that, the families are making the decision instead of the kids themselves, right? Well, part of it is that the family's got an opportunity to watch someone grow up. I mean, if you're giving away your daughter for marriage, I mean, you're kind of going to keep an eye on that boy over there who's supposed to be her husband in 5-10 years, You want to see if he's being raised right. You want to see, how does he treat the people around him? How does he act? How does he comport himself? Can he take care of himself? Is he patient, impatient? Does he have a temper? Is he going to be a good provider for my little girl? And so you have time, again, there's that time component to monitor the potential spouse. Well, just gonna be frank with you. 2 days over chat, mostly chat, is not enough time. It is not enough time. I'm gonna put this into context for you. Most of you probably know that Nugget, Little Wolf, Piggy is my little. I didn't let her call me daddy for like 6 weeks. For like 6 weeks, we were on like low key, let's get to know each other, to at least like a very, very basic surface level. And then you can tell me what you think. I had her write an essay basically about, I want to say it was about what a daddy is and what she thinks a daddy is supposed to be. And we talked about it, and I agreed to formally become her daddy. And I'll be honest with you, I felt like just taking a month was excessively short. Just not nearly enough time, really. But I should have been much more disciplined than that. But it is very easy as a daddy to get caught up in wanting to make this little who's so happy to have your attention. Well, you want her to be happy too, right? And you want a little. She wants a daddy, and you're like, oh, that's good enough. Yeah, build her, here's me, and I'm a dom, and here's me, and I'm a little, and relationship. Except, you need to make sure that connector up there is strong. And again, we come back to meek. Part of being meek is being patient. And a dom has to be patient enough, enduring enough. He has to be able... See, that enduring isn't just against external forces. That enduring is also against himself. Because make no mistake, a dom has wants, needs, desires. And those are three very different categories. Now, there's some crossover. You need to eat, and you want to eat, and you have the desire to eat. But sometimes you need to eat, but you don't want to eat. Sometimes you need to eat, and you want to eat, but you don't have the desire to eat. Well, what happens when you looking at, you can look around and you can see a lot of conflict in people, and if you can be very honest with yourself, you'll see a lot of conflict in yourself when your needs, your wants, and your desires aren't synced up. So, again, we have meek and we have time. Take the time to get to know each other. Take the time to get to know your potential dom as well as you can. As well as you can. Even vanilla relationships are sort of relationships on easy mode, and if you look around, you'll see most vanilla relationships are not very good relationships. BDSM relationships and all the subsets beneath it are relationships on hard mode, which means that all of these fundamentals are even more important. They go from being really, 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 really important to disaster if not met. They go from that really important to vital for survival, They go from a haha, it's good if we have these things, to our relationship is going to fail. Our relationship is going to die if these are not met, taken care of, and treated with the respect that they are owed. And make no mistake, relationship fundamentals are worthy of your respect. If you don't respect them, your relationship will suffer heavily for it. So again, we have meek and we have time. So let's break down time a little bit more, right? So we know it takes time to get to know someone. We're going to toss one more little example in here. If you are not comfortable today with leaving all of your assets with your daddy, and that means every penny, every blanket, every bobby pin, every hair scrunchie, all of it in your daddy's possession today, and giving him complete ownership and possession of those things, leaving for a year and coming back, do you think at the end of the year that all of it would still be there? If you couldn't talk with him for a year. If you are on the lower end of that trust spectrum, a question to ask yourself is, if I wouldn't trust him with just my earthly possessions, why would I trust him with my heart? Why would I trust him with my emotional well-being? Why would I trust him with my mental well-being? And why would I trust him with my physical well-being? I mean, those three things, those three well-beings, mental, emotional, physical, those are way more important than any possession you have. And if you wouldn't trust him with the physical possessions, things not you, why would you trust him with you? So what should we be doing in this time? In this time where we're getting to know each other? Well, what does it mean to know someone, right? Well, step one, you can do the kind of superficial dating questions. What are your interests? What do you do for a living? Do you like your siblings? Blah, 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 right? Well, there's some more important questions to be answered here. So what are those? Well, one, do you have an ideology? Do you have a political stance? Where do you stand on social issues? Who's going to do the dishes? Who's going to cook? If no one's going to cook, where are we going to go out to eat? How often are we going to go out to eat? Who's going to clean the house? Remember, and even if you're doing a long distance relationship, some of these things, the ideology things, they're going to come out. A big one, what do you want out of this relationship? Here's another big one. What do you think it means to be a dom? And then, now that you know what they think it means to be a dom, what do you think it means to be a daddy? And from the dom's perspective, what do you think it means to be a sub? What do you think it means to be a little? What do you want out of this relationship? What are your goals? What's your worldview? There's a lot of what you see is, and this is just ridiculously common. No, I'm a little, and I'm over here littling around, and I want a serious dom who's committed to me, and he's going to give me lots of attention, and, he's going to give me some rules, and blah, 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 blah. And then you have doms who aren't really doms. It's doms with a small d. Doming around, walking around. Oh, I'm all dominant. Look at me over here. I'm doming around. Bop, bop, boop, beep, boop. Who just want a casual relationship. And here you are over here. Oh, I'm whittling around and I want a serious, committed relationship. And I want a daddy that's going to stick by me for years and years. And here you've got this doming around. Oh, beep, beep, bop, beep, boop. I just want a casual relationship and somebody to tell what to do. And after 2 days, click, they're trying to build a relationship. They never asked any important questions. They don't know very much about each other. We're going to take this back to vanilla a little bit. In vanilla relationships, it's really important that you know your partner, that you understand your partner, that you're willing to work together with your partner, and that you and your partner have basically the same goals and objectives for your relationship. Well, if you don't know that your partner wants the same thing as you in vanilla, it doesn't work. And remember, we're doing DDlg, doing BDSM. That's relationships on hard mode. So when that relationship breaks, we may not be talking about a cry for a week. We may be talking about emotionally broken for a while. So remember, littles, when you're looking for a new dom, a new daddy, is he meek? How do we find out if he's meek? Time. During that time, we ask questions and we get to know them and understand them. Figure out what they want out of a relationship, what they think it means to dom, what they think it means for a little to little. Do they want a committed relationship? Are they looking in the long or the short term? Are they even interested in meeting your needs? Do you line up politically? Do you line up ideologically? Do you have similar worldviews? Now, this is by no means comprehensive. And we're going to try and dig into some of this with a little more depth over the course of the week and kind of over time. But this is, I think, kind of a good get your foot in the door place to get started. We're taking the first step towards building that foundation of a healthy and stable dom-sub DDlg relationship. Thank you for watching tonight. I'm Wolf, and if you have any questions, I should be here for, I believe, about the next hour. Have a good evening.